guys, thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. Okay, so you painted your car, or you painted a panel, you did some repair work, and you ended up with some runs or sags, or maybe some dirt in the clear, maybe a bug flew in there, and now you got to fix it. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you some real basic stuff. If you have a run or a sag, how to sand it out and how to polish it. And if you have some dust or something that fell in the clear and it makes a little imperfection, you can feel it and you want to get rid of it, you got to polish it out. Also, if you have orange peel, you can use the same process to sand orange peel nice and smooth, polish it, and it'll look awesome. So before we do that, let's take a look at what kind of tools and materials I use, then we'll do the repair. So whether you've used a single stage or a base coat, clear coat, or whatever it is, you're going to do something referred to as cut and buff. You're going to cut the surface, and then you're going to polish it and buff it down. Now, there's some basic components or basic things you need, and depending on what tools you choose, it will determine how your job is going to turn out. But the basics, there's going to be different kinds of polishing wheels. Yellow is usually a coarser that you would use with a heavy-duty rubbing compound. I prefer the 3M. A medium grit, a medium type wheel or medium type pad. And I use these with the swirl mark remover, the Perfect 3000. I like these products. For final, I like to use the Shine Master Polish and Sealant. This does a great job for hand polishing and hand rubbing out the final part of the paint. And you want to get yourself a nice polisher. Now, I use the hook and loop, where you have the hooks, and this is just a Velcro and just kind of sticks on there, so it makes a quick change easy. In the whatever polisher you're going to use or buffer you're going to use, you want to get something that has a variable speed. This one by DeWalt goes down all the way down from 1,000 all the way up to 3,000. And depending on what you're doing, depending on the material you're using, you're going to want to have a variable speed. You don't want to go too fast because you can burn the paint. If you go too slow, you won't heat it up enough. Because what you're basically doing is you're using an abrasive and an abrasive pad to heat up the paint and sort of melt it together. But first you have to sand it. When I sand it, I usually start with 1,000 grit, go to 1,500, finish off with 2,000, and then you go through these one at a time, coarse, medium, fine, and when you polish it, it'll come out great. So let's go look at what we're going to fix, and I'll show you the different tools, how they're used, and how to get a good result. Now what you can see here is I have a little run in the paint. Little run right here, and it runs to a little nub right about there. And then what I'm going to do is pretty simple. I'm just going to wet sand it. I got some 1,000 grit sandpaper just on a paint stick and water in a spray bottle, soapy water. Just dish soap mixed with water. And I'm going to go very slow, and I'm going to stop occasionally and dry it off. And then when it's perfectly flat, then we'll polish it. Okay, now to polish it, I'm going to use my 3M Super Duty rubbing compound with my yellow pad on my buffer at about 16 to 1800 RPM. Cover up the area because it does get pretty messy. Now, you can see, if you look at this, it's just right. You can still see a little bit of the run right there. So I'm going to resand. Okay, it looks nice and smooth. I can't see the run anymore. Now I'm going to switch to green pad with the swirl mark remover. There we go, nice and smooth. You can see the run is completely gone. Now the next thing I'm going to fix is a little dust in the paint. Something was in the clear coat here. So I'm going to go through the same process. 1000 grit, clean it up. 1500 grit, clean it up. Make sure it's nice and flat. 2000 grit, clean it up. Then polish heavy duty compound with the yellow pad, and then the swirl mark remover with the green pad. Oh, got that finished. There's a teeny weeny bit of it looks like, really tough to tell. But it's polished down, it's nice and smooth. I think I'm going to leave that for now. That looks good enough because when I wax it, I think it'll fill in. Now the last step, the last thing I like to do after I polish paint is to seal it and clean it up. And since this is high definition video, you'll probably see the micro scratches in there. The last thing I like to use is this Wizard Shine Master. It's a very nice polish. And you do it by hand, and it protects and seals any of the raw paint that you just polished. You just wipe it on. So it's like a wax, so you just wipe it on and let it work in. And I like the smell of it. It kind of smells like cherry candy. So, just going to let that sit for a second. And you want to use a clean cotton cloth, a nice clean towel. And you polish it just like you would polish after you wax a car. And when you polish with this, when you get it done, it fills in all those micro scratches. And then it ends up looking real nice. Now, this vehicle is got some miles on it, so it's a little dirty. And you don't want to make the area you're fixing look a lot nicer than the rest of the vehicle because it'll stick out. So what I'm trying to do is kind of match the wind look or the wind scratches that are on the rest of the car. And right now, that matches pretty damn good. Now as a final step, I'm just going to go over this whole area with a swirl mark remover and make sure that the panel matches all the way around. I'll be using my my green pad on my polisher, my buffer. And I'm going to have this up to about, let's see here, around 2,900 RPM. Nice clean cloth, just wipe it off. And last step, I like to use the Wizard Shine Master. It's a sealer and protectant. You have all this raw paint you just polished, and you want to protect it, much like a wax does. So I just rub this on by hand and let it dry just a little bit. Get hazy pretty quick. And it kind of works into the pores and any of the compounds that you have left behind. It really polishes them out. Then get a fresh cotton towel, nice and clean, and rub it up by hand. Doesn't take long. There we go. Just as good as it came from the factory. So there you have it. That's color sanding, doing repairs, cut and buff. You can also do it to fix orange peel. If you have orange peel and you put enough clear on there, you can sand down the orange peel and polish it, and it'll look fantastic if you just take your time. Now, I'd like to ask, if you haven't already, please click on subscribe so you can stay up with all the neat stuff I do here, and I really appreciate you stopping by Pete's Garage.